Are you struggling with loneliness? Feeling depressed? Are you searching for a purpose to live? Are you ready to tap into your inner greatness? Ready to soar to your full potential? Come and be inspired. Join me, Dr. Asha Mwendo, on Healing Moment inside Gospel and Soul every Wednesday, 6 p.m., where we will help you to understand your purpose. We will help you to find your wind. We'll show you how to open your wings and fly. Healing Moments, Fit FM 96.7, your life, your music.
Angelica beat.
Good evening, my guests. How are you this evening? It's good to be here with you again this evening on Healing Moments on Fit FM 96.7, your life, your music. I am your host for this evening, Dr. Asha Mwendo, and we're lining up to have an awesome evening with a special guest, and everything is going to be all right. You know, we like when you join the conversation. So we are expecting you to touch base with us on WhatsApp at 876-478-9144 or on 876-317-1991. We wanted to join the conversation. This evening we're talking with Stephen Golding, and we'll tell you more about him later on when it's time when he joins us. And we're talking about Marcus Garvey, his words, his messages, and Jamaica 60 years on. But you know the drill already, so you're going to get a pen, tell your friend, get your sip, and listen to this bit of music until we come right back.
Free your mind. Remove the shackles and chains from your brains. Look within, see what you find. Liberate your mind. It's freedom time. A freedom time, it's time to free your mind. A freedom time, it's time to free your mind. A freedom time, it's time to free your mind. A freedom time, it's time to free your mind. Freedom, freedom, oh freedom. I tell them about freedom, freedom, oh freedom. Yeah, hear me? Sure. Gotta go to a higher heights, gotta go to a higher plane. Gotta break those mental chains, gotta take them from your brain. If you coulda elevate your mind, then you never ever be the same. Same thing's gonna change, you're gonna light the flame. You're not gonna play the game, so strange. Take away the pain, take away the pain. Rearrange, break the chain, you'll never be the same again. It's called freedom, freedom, oh freedom. Rastaman I tell them about freedom, freedom, oh freedom. Take charge of your physical and your spiritual. Take charge of your mental, finding some affinity with divinity. That is fundamental. Try to be influential. Reset your mindset, reach your potential. Freedom is essential. Free like a freestyle pan a instrumental. No make nobody use you and abuse you and I try confuse you. No make nobody fool you and I school you. Just trying to rule you. Freedom, freedom, oh freedom. That is what I'm talking about. Freedom, freedom, oh freedom. Yes, the chains are breaking, you're awaking, freedom's penetrating, great minds in the making, meditating, also educating, tired of the manipulating, minds need emancipating, liberating, elevating, stop waiting and procrastinating, now is the time, I take it as a warning, no time to waste, no stalling, another new day is dawning, new day, a brand new morning, can you hear freedom calling, calling, calling? Free your mind. Don't be confused and used by someone else's views. Be free to choose. Ask questions. Be open to ideas and suggestions. Free your mind. Remove the shackles and chains from your brains. Look within. See what you find. Liberate your mind. It's freedom time. A freedom time, it's time to free your mind.
Yes, I agree with Maccabee. It's time to free your mind. And as Jamaica is going through their 60th, we need to free our minds, change our thoughts, and change our nation. We are doing our Let's Talk session this evening, and I don't like what's going on. I don't like what's going on. Let me hear from you. Join us on WhatsApp. Join us on Facebook. Join us on YouTube and all social media platforms. Listen to us streaming live. Join us on radio. Let us hear from you this evening. Jamaica, we're not going on good. We're not going on good. We now have our children killing, our children being killed, kidnapped, all this craziness, people just dying, drive-by shooting. We're living like a real movie with the inner. We have to do better than that, man. I don't know who is writing this script, but we don't need to take the parts. Let's leave the negative parts alone and start taking the parts that are positive. Let's change Jamaica. Our children are hurting. Mothers are banding their bellies over and over crying for their children. We need to do better. We need to do better than that. We are really behaving like an extremely toxic nation, and we have to do better. You hear me? So, sisters, as we thought the thought come to us and we are planning to do better, I am extending an invitation to all our women. Please join us at our Women Empowerment Retreat in Montego Bay at Doctor's Cave Beach Hotel on April 14th, when 4 powerful boss women will be bossing up and coming at you. We'll have Ornica Blackstrap, Felicia Ricketts Graham. We'll have myself, Asha Muendo, and we'll have Natanish Hines. 4 powerful women, movers and shakers, will be bringing to you empowering women from the inside out. And we want you to join us. It will be on the 14th, as I said before, from 1 to 6 p.m. Contribution minimal at $45 or 6,500 Jamaican dollars. So to register, you can direct message 876-498-8804. That's 876-498-8804. Or you can go on Instagram to Etiquette Solutions and just sign up right there. You'll get all the information. This is coming to you on April 14th, 2022 in Montego Bay at Doctor's Cave Beach Conference Room. And the theme we are working with is empowering women from inside out. You'll have four of us powerful women standing up, speaking out, guiding you into your own greatness. We look forward to having you join us. And I'm reminding you that Dr. Asher's 30-day wellness challenge is still on. I must congratulate the persons we have who are coming down to their first end of their first 30 days and expressing a desire to continue. And next week we'll look at their milestones, their achievements, do their assessment, and give them their accolades for what they have achieved. And we are hoping that more women will join us. And it is just time, women. It's time. And our men as well who want to do something for themselves. It's time to be your best self at any age. Stress less, feel younger, lose weight, stop pain, and feel great. Also, still going on in Runaway Bay is Amifitelio Farmers Market. And if you want to get a booth or you want to come out and join us, you want more information, contact Jennifer at 876-853-4455. But excitement galore. This week, we'll be having the regular farmers market on Thursday and tomorrow. Yours truly will be there. Come out and see me. If your wellness is your responsibility, come out and let us talk. But on Friday, April 1, which will also be my birthday, they're having a retro party. So the farmers market will continue until Friday in the day. And in the evening, they have retro party and cookout. So they are inviting you to come out and support and be a part of that journey as well. And I continue to ask you to support my friend Dave Gale as he works hard to get the family in Westmoreland into comfortable home. He still need your support. He still have CDs, $1,000 for the CD, or you can just contribute. Reach out to him on his social media platforms at Dave Gale. So anyone you go on, you'll find him as Dave Gale, right? So he's asking you to reach out to him and support the cause. Let us fix Jamaica by helping each other to grow, right? And as usual, I want to remind you that Healing Moments join the call for elimination of violence against women and girls, right? And so while we get ready for my guests to come on, we're going to give you a little bit more music and then we will get into the program this evening.
Free your mind. Remove the shackles and chains from your brains. Look within, see what you find. Liberate your mind. It's freedom time. A freedom time, it's time to free your mind. A freedom time, it's time to free your mind. A freedom time, it's time to free your mind. A freedom time, it's time to free your mind. Freedom, freedom, oh freedom. I tell them about freedom, freedom, oh freedom. Yeah, me? Sure. Gotta go to a higher heights, gotta go to a higher plane. Gotta break those mental chains, gotta take them from your brain. If you coulda elevate your mind, then you never ever be the same. Same thing's gonna change, you're gonna light the flame. You're not gonna play the game, so strange. Take away the pain, take away the pain. Rearrange, break the chain, you'll never be the same again. It's called freedom, freedom, oh freedom. Rasta man, I tell them about freedom, freedom, oh freedom. Take charge of your physical and your spiritual. Take charge of your mental. Finding some affinity with divinity. That is fundamental. Try to be influential. Reset your mindset, reach your potential. Freedom is essential. Free like a freestyle man, an instrumental. No make nobody use you and abuse you and I try confuse you. No make nobody fool you and I school you. Just trying to rule you. Freedom, freedom, Oh, freedom. That is what I'm talking about. Freedom. Freedom. Oh, freedom. Yes, the chains are breaking, you're awaking, freedom's penetrating, great minds in the making, meditating, also educating, tired of the manipulating, minds need emancipating, liberating, elevating, stop waiting and procrastinating, now is the time, I take it as a warning, no time to waste, no stalling, another new day is dawning, new day, a brand new morning, can you hear freedom calling, calling, calling? Free your mind. Don't be confused and used by someone else's views. Be free to choose. Ask questions. Be open to ideas and suggestions. Find your own truth. Uplift the youth. Liberate your mind. It's freedom time. A freedom time is time to free your mind. A freedom time is time to free your mind. A freedom time is time to free your mind. A freedom time is time to free your mind. Freedom, freedom, oh, freedom. Freedom, freedom, oh, freedom. Tell them again. Freedom, freedom, oh, freedom. Awaken your consciousness, yes? Freedom, freedom, oh, freedom. It's freedom time. A freedom time is time to free your mind. A freedom time is time to free your mind. A freedom time is time to free your mind. Freedom.
Okay. My guest seems to be having some challenges in joining us. So we're going to give you another music. We're going to play a little longer, just giving him a few more minutes to see if he gets on. We don't want to start a conversation and then we have to switch. So we're going to give him a little bit more time to join us. He seems to be having technical challenges because he keeps coming on and dropping off. So we're going to keep seeing what is happening to him. But listeners, I want you to get yourself ready for the conversation we're about to have, because Jamaica is 60 years old, right? Jamaica is 60 years old, and we need to talk about Marcus Garvey and everything else that we have happening with us at this time. And so therefore, we're going to give Mr. Golding a little bit more time. We know how technology go, give all kind of problem, right? So just before, while we wait on him to join us, we're going to play a little bit of music. Then I'll start the conversation. Hopefully, he'll get on with us. But I'm going to play a little bit of music that I can reach out to him to see what is happening. Keep listening.
My true identity. My heart is black, and I'm proud of that. Hey, boy, my heart is black, nothing wrong with that. Oh no, hey. Once I was a little child, I used to hear the Bingy man them chant all the while. And when me see the Rasta man a forward, me and my friends would a get up and run. But while I'm growing, I'm reading the analytical and also a quest. And I come to the whole conclusion, Rasta principle is all time best. My heart is black, and I'm proud of that. Yeah. Oh, my heart is black, well, nothing wrong with that. Oh no, let your heart be pure and exercise love for sure. Let's demonstrate love and teach the world some more. And if your heart is blue, that's cool with me too. Let's maximize love and show the world that your heart is pure and true. Because once you're born as a human, everyone should be treated equally. I and I chat through Babylon. Come to teach and correct confusion. And above all else, I will never rest till I conquer and wipe out all wickedness. Above all else, I will never rest. Every knee shall bow and every tongue confess. I'm black, blacker than black. Whoa, blacker than black. Once I was a little child, I used to hear the propaganda spread all the while. And when we see the rest of man a forward, me and my friends would get up and run. But while I'm growing, I'm reading the analytical and also a quest. And I come to the whole conclusion, Rasta principle is all time best. My heart is black, and I'm proud of that. Hey, oh, my heart is black. Nothing wrong with that, oh no. Let your heart be pure and exercise love for sure. Let's demonstrate love and teach the world some more. And if your heart is white, pure, green and bright, let's come together, every nation, and unite. Because once you're born as a human, everyone should be treated equally. I talk through Babylon, come to teach and correct confusion. And above all else, I will never rest till I conquer and wipe out all wickedness. Above all else, I will never rest. Every knee shall bow and every tongue confess. I'm black and I'm proud of that. Hey, oh, my heart is black. Nothing wrong with that. Oh no. Let your heart be pure and exercise love for sure.
We still are, our guest is backstage, but we're having some technical challenges bringing him forward. So, Mr. Golding, are you hearing me? I'm not hearing you. Um, Talk again. I think I heard you just now. No, I'm not hearing you. We're having some technical challenges in bringing Mr. Golding on live from the backstage. So we're gonna try to. We're still trying to work on that. While we're working on that, I want to tell you a little bit of who Mr. Golding is, and hopefully we'll be able to fix it. That we don't have to reschedule for him to come back as another evening, because I really enjoy talking with him. He's very knowledgeable about Marcus Garvey and our nation as we develop. And looking at Jamaica at 60, we know where we are today, right? We know, we have heard all the things that are happening now, all the things we think should have been happening by now, and we see where we are as a people. And we need to get our nation right. We need to fix it. We need to sort ourselves out, and we just need to get it right. So we are hoping to have Mr. Golding coming on this evening to talk with us. You know, when I think of Marcus Garvey, and I'm just going to talk about 5 points about him that is important to us as a people, in that he is our first national hero. And I don't know how many of us knew that, but I'm going to give a question out, and I'm see who first can give me the answer. Who can tell me when he founded the UNIA? So I want someone to tell me when the UNIA was founded. You're gonna send me the message on our Facebook page, or you're going to WhatsApp it to me on our numbers at 876-478-9144 or 876-317-1991. So let me know who can tell us what year was Marcus Garvey named as our national hero. And I told you already that he's the first one. So while you think about that, and we work on getting Mr. Stephen on We see him trying to come on. So we're having some technical challenges. We're working on it. Listen to this bit of music again. It's Scuffler. Listen to Scuffler talking about his black heart.
Nothing wrong with that. Oh no, hey. Once I was a little child, I used to hear the Bingy man them chant all the while. And when we see the Rasta man a forward, me and my friends would I get up and run. But while I'm growing, I'm reading, be analytical and also a quest. And I come to the whole conclusion, Rasta principle is all time best. My heart is black, and I'm proud of that. Yeah. Oh, my heart is black. Well, nothing wrong with that. Oh no, let your heart be pure and exercise love for sure. Let's demonstrate love and teach the world some more. And if your heart is blue, that's cool with me too. Let's maximize love and show the world that your heart is pure and true. Because once you're born as a human, everyone should be treated equally. I and I chat through Babylon, come to teach and correct confusion. And above all else, I will never rest till I conquer and wipe out all wickedness. Above all else, I will never rest. Every knee shall bow and every tongue confess. I'm black, blacker than black. Whoa, blacker than black. Once I was a little child, I used to hear the propaganda spread all the while. And when we see the Rasta man a forward, me and my friends would I get up and run. But while I'm growing, I'm reading, be analytical and also a quest. And I come to the whole conclusion, Rasta principle is all time best. My heart is black, and I'm proud of that. Yeah. Oh, my heart is black, nothing wrong with that. Oh no, let your heart be pure and exercise love for sure. Let's demonstrate life and teach the world some more. And if your heart is white, pure, green and bright, let's come together, every nation, and unite. Because once you're born as a human, everyone should be treated equally. I and I chat through Babylon, come to teach and correct confusion. And above all else, I will never rest till I conquer and wipe out all wickedness. Above all else, I will never rest. Every knee shall bow and every tongue confess. I'm black, and I'm proud of that. Hey, oh, my heart is black, nothing wrong with that. Oh no, let your heart be pure and exercise love for sure. Seek for love, seek for peace, seek for joy, seek for happiness.
Okay. Welcome back. You're listening to Healing Moments on Fit FM 96.7, your life, your music. And as I tell you, we were having little technical challenges, but we have sorted out, and my guest is on now. Mr. Steven, welcome, welcome.
Hi, Asha. How are you? Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear, my friend. Loud and clear. It's good to hear you.
Good evening to your listeners too on Fit
Yeah,
FM.
man. Yes, Fit FM 96.7. And we are live. How is you?
I am fine. Doc, and just listening to you and some of the things you were talking about. First of all, let me tell you, Blessed Earth Strong in 2 days. I caught that part too.
Yes, thanks. Yes,
No
yes.
April Fools.
No April Fool on here. Yeah, man. So it's good to have you, And we're looking, I will tell the guests a little bit about you before you come on. So this evening, you see with us, we have Stephen. Stephen is the president of the Jamaica division of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, the UNIA as we call it. And
Mhm.
he's also a African Communities League, the first one to be founded in Kingston in 1914 by the Right Excellent Marcus Messiah Garvey, a professor of Garveyism. Golding chairs the Garvey Studies Department and lectures on the philosophy of Marcus Garvey at the primary, secondary, and tertiary level. And I'm telling you guys, we need more of this. We need more of this. Having spent over a decade in radio, launching such cutting edge programs as The Corner 2006 to 2011 on US News Talk 93 FM, and then MIC 123 2012 to 2014 on Hot 102 FM. So you see, he's no stranger to radio. Golding went on to create and produce several television programs, including 365 Black, Jamaica DWL, and Aki Walk. And I heard Mrs. Golding talking about Aki Walk earlier today when I was listening to her. So big up to the lady who keeps the man going. He is the founding director of Jamaica's only authentic African cuisine restaurant, Cafe Africa. Yes, people, it is true. I went there. A director of the Small Business Association of Jamaica, and became chairman of the board of visitors for the island's oldest and largest adult correctional facility after launching a program to teach Garveyism in prison in 2011. In 2016, he was appointed as member of the Jamaican National Council on Reparation, as well as Institute of Jamaica Council, where he also serves as chairman of the African Caribbean Institute of Jamaica, the Jamaica Memory Bank. Stephen Golding is the son of Jamaica's 8th Prime Minister, Bruce Golding, and the grandson of Jamaica's first Speaker of the House of Representatives, post-independent Tatius Golding. He's a graduate of the Johns Hopkins University, where he was initiated into the Brotherhood of Alpha Phi Alpha, the first Greek lettered college fraternity founded for Black men in 1906. He's a father of 2 awesome children, Tatius Kush and Zipporah Anuli, and the wife of Lady Empress. Mr. Golding, I just tell the people all of your business. And so
Yes.
therefore, we're going to start talking about other people's business, Jamaica's business, and Marcus Garvey.
And you're the first person get all the names right.
Wow, awesome, awesome. See, I knew I
Yeah.
could do it. Yeah, man. We have to learn to call people's name correctly. That was always one of my pet peeves.
Mm.
People pronouncing my name correctly. I kind of learn to forgive them, no, and ignore them over the years. But it is nice when people get a name right. So I'm glad me get it right. So we're talking about UNIA, Marcus Garvey, Jamaica, 60 years on. Where you want to start?
Boy, 60 years of independence or independence, I don't know.
Something.
Um, what would Marcus Garvey be saying in our 60th year of independence, having left his earthly form?
Mm-hmm.
Um, what 22 years before that independence came, and
Yes.
before the end of World War II.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think Garvey died heartbroken, not knowing where the race was going or not satisfied that it had reached where he was trying to push us to be. But what would he say 60 years later? And we're still talking about reparations. We're still talking about injustices being perpetuated against Black people across the globe.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, people have been comparing the UK attitude to Ukrainian immigrants,
Yes.
to their attitude towards African or West Indian, or whichever word you prefer,
Mm-hmm.
African descendants,
Right.
who African refugees who try to come across their borders. So I don't think we have achieved what it is he hoped we would achieve, in that we would have consolidated for ourselves an empire in Africa strong enough to protect us wherever we are in the world. We are still at the mercy of
Yes.
the dominant nations.
Yes.
The NATO's and the EU's and the US of A's and
And
the
Africa still divided, not a united nation.
yes, certainly not,
Mhm.
and moving further away from that since the passing of all people, Gaddafi.
Yes. And one of the things that, let's go to the continent a little bit before we come to the diaspora and come to our little country here. I look at what is happening in Africa. I have been fortunate to be part of a group that is presently being led by the Queen of Sheba, and teaching some life skills program, which is really excellent. And what she's trying to do is really good. But when I look at the drop in the bucket of what she's trying to do with this big continent, with so many
Yes,
nations, a
you're
rich
talking about the
continent.
you're talking about the African Kingdoms Federation.
Yes, I thank you for remind
Yes,
me.
yes,
Correct, yes.
yes.
So I am
And
presently
that is
studying
something that is also connected to what Gaddafi tried to do with the AU, and after getting resistance from the state leaders, instead
them.
thought that he could approach this African unity through the traditional leaders. Africa has many kings and queens in
Mm-hmm.
every part. Um, um, but yeah, we still need that, and Garvey envisioned that. That's why he created the UNIA, and there's a position in the UNIA, the highest position, one which Garvey never even served as. A lot of people don't know that Garvey was always President General and Administrator, but there was two positions above him: potentate and Supreme Commissioner, and the Deputy Potentate and Deputy Supreme Commissioner. And
Oh,
these were envisioned much in the same role as we have monarchs today,
okay.
or governor generals, where the president would administrate, the UNIA convention would legislate, but we would have our symbolic head of state in the person of a potentate, who at first Garvey stipulated had to be born on the continent of Africa. So who knows if
Okay.
when I hear about the African Federation's kingdom, I think about um, that within the wider context of Garvey's vision,
Yes.
and uniting the kings and queens of Africa, and whoever sits at the head of that table would be somebody we could consider to be a potentate in the likes of what Garvey visioned.
It would be awesome if we see that happening in our time, in
Yes.
our timeline. Because to be honest, I am learning so much now, at going to the sessions that they are doing and listening in and learning and being trained. I like the life skills program that they are using to sensitize, teaching us how we can reduce crime and violence, and how we can live together as one, and how we can, support each other in the processes. I like their life skills. I've done a number of life skill trainings, and I'm really, really impressed with this one. It's not their original work, as Her Majesty did say to us today. She reminded us that it's from the Scientology program that
Mhm.
they are using at the moment, but they are working on creating one for us, that is
Mhm.
by us, for us in the future. And I see that is something I think I will work with them on, in being a part of the process that creates something for us as a people that we can recognize and identify, that suits us and works for us well.
Yes.
And I will
Yes.
continue to do my best on that, supporting. I am a student at their feet. I'm a student at your feet, because I've been learning so much from you over the time, which I am really pleased for. I know I have not been coming to meetings, and I shall improve on that.
Yes, we've been doing them virtually, but this Sunday we are going back face to face as we emerge from this pandemic. So we will be
Mm.
back at Liberty Hall from 3 to 6 p.m.
Oh.
And again, it's every first Sunday,
Mm.
UNIA mass meetings. This one we'll be having a session, reasoning about reparations,
Okay.
reasoning about reparations, and just engaging the people
Mhm.
and trying to um, give the facts, because I think there's a lot of facts missing
Yes.
when a lot of Jamaicans speak. We're not exposed to the facts, and we become, you know, it puts us on the defensive. I'm
Yes.
trying to explain to people, reparations is not about how poor we are right now per se. People are talking about, um, you know, development for the country. And, I was making the point on one radio program that even if we were rich and had oil and found diamonds in Jamaica, we
Mhm.
would still be entitled to reparations.
Thank you.
So, it's not about balancing it with where we are as the reason. We should have gotten reparations before we even got to where we are today.
Thank you.
Right? So, you comparing them and weighing them as if one factors into the other. No, this is about a crime,
Mhm.
and it's a double and triple whammy crime. Because not
Yes.
only did they not pay us reparations, they paid compensation to the
Yes.
victimizers.
Oh,
They forced our
yes.
descendants to pay that off up to
Mhm.
2015, right? Um, and so when you and then they tricked us. They
Yes.
tricked us and told us that we had to go through an apprenticeship period when really all that was doing was extracting 4 years of free labor
So
from us.
free
So
labor.
people talk about the 20 million that was paid to planters. The amount that the planters received was 47 million.
Thank you.
21 in cash and 26 in 4 years of apprenticeship.
It's a
Our
labor.
apprenticeship wasn't only in Jamaica, it was in Barbados and all the British colonies. So, I
Yes.
mean, that's the kind of stuff that we should be focused on and angry about. Not talking about, what we're going to do with the money and
You
what's.
know, Stephen, not to cut your train of thought, but you see, when I hear this conversation that you are now rubbishing, I agree with you, because what I said to myself is that we are now not going to them because we deserve to be treated fairly and to be compensated for all that have happened to us. We are now going back to them like we are failures and we are beggars, and we're saying to them, we're not managing on our own, so we need your reparation money to fix up ourselves. That's
Yeah,
how it sounds. So we are
yeah.
not going in our strength to say that you wronged us
Hmm.
as a people, and it is time come that you right this wrong.
Yeah. And
Everybody
more,
else
more,
have
more, more.
compensated on our backs and our stripes, and we now want to be compensated for our stripes and for
Yes.
our dislocation taken away. We have lost so much as a people living in the diaspora away from our continent. We have lost our heritage. We have lost who we are.
And,
Sometimes,
and, and don't forget, on top of that, you made us pay for our freedom.
yes,
Don't tell us you gave us emancipation. We
no,
had to buy our way out of freedom. So, what is the difference between us and the enslaved who had to do that 300 years or 200 years or 100 years before the
thank
so
you.
called emancipation? When Haiti fought a war and
Mhm.
liberated themselves, France also later made them pay
Hey,
for the
and there's not
value
only
of
did they
their
have to
chattel.
pay, but they
They
also
paid
raped the
the planter
country.
for
They
the value
raped
of
the
the
country.
chattel. So this
Yes.
idea that they gave us freedom, it was a bold-faced lie.
No. It was fought for and paid for.
Right,
It
right.
was paid for in blood, sweat, tears, loss of identity. When you
Yeah.
think of
That's
all
another
that
that's
slavery
another
have
good
done.
point, Asha. That's an excellent point that we fought. And
Yes.
normally when wars are fought in the world, the victors are the ones who receive reparations,
Right.
right? Not the man who lose the war. So how
Mm-mm.
did we win in Haiti? We won in the Caribbean, and we are made to pay reparations to you?
Listen to me. If you're gonna use the Bible as our backbone, in the Bible days when these people go out to war, when they are coming back, they bring the spoils. They bring what they gain, what they gain. What have we brought back?
Mhm.
Nothing, because we lost everything, but we won because we are free, not because they gave us freedom, but because we
Exactly.
did not accept slavery.
Yes, and that's another part of the story that's missing from the narrative.
Yes.
The groups like the Sons of Africa, Aluwada
Mm-hmm.
Equiano, Kotoba,
Mm-hmm.
Coguano, the Macandals in Haiti, the Bencos Biojos in Colombia, the
Yes.
Zombies and the Zumbas in Brazil, right? The Juka in
Right.
Suriname. There were African kingdoms that we were fighting from the beginning. We fought a
From
long
day
war.
one.
We wore them down. They had to give in. And at the end of it, they trick us now and steal from us and force our descendants to pay up. The British Treasury said in 2015 that they had just paid off the money they borrowed to pay the plantation owners at the time of emancipation. That
And
means
then
this
they start
Windrush
to
generation that been paying taxes, been buying their ancestors'
yes.
freedom.
Yes.
How
And
disrespectful is that? And
listen
why are
to
we the
me.
only people and race in the world made to do that? Just yesterday or day before yesterday, the Canadian Inuits, we
Mhm.
used to call Eskimos when I was a child. That's how the Europeans used to call them. But the
Yes.
Inuits were in Vatican meeting with the Pope
Okay.
about how the Catholic Church was conditioning them in the schools they built, about the abuse by priests who were, some of who were still alive,
Mm-hmm.
and talking reparations and compensation. So
Mm-hmm.
you talk to the native, so-called Native Americans, you give reparations to the Jews. The Aboriginals in Australia have made some ground. The Japanese who were persecuted in America got paid.
Yes.
Everybody who has had a legitimate legal grievance, the history and the facts is there to show the truth, and they've
Yes.
received reparations. We have the legitimacy, we have the facts, we have the history, the whole world knows it, and not even an apology,
Not even a sensible
not
apology we
even an
cannot get.
admittance that, yeah, man, you're right, this was messed up, what we did was wrong.
You
When
know.
by your own laws, you are the
Mhm.
one who declare it a crime against humanity. You are the one who says crimes against humanity have no statute of limitations. Then when we come,
Thank
you want to
you.
talk about it was long ago. Long ago, how long ago was it when you say it don't have no statute of limitations? It could
No
have
statute of
5,000 years
limitation.
ago. We know the crime was committed. You say it don't have statute of limitations. So how dare you ask, tell me about long ago? You forget your own laws? You forget your
Thank
own
you.
words? Yeah, man, it's
So
serious.
your law cannot be convenient to please you, and then when other persons stand up and speak upon your laws,
Mhm.
you're going to want to say it's long ago. How long is long ago when you still feel the pain? How long is long ago when you still have the echoes of your ancestors on the auction block, as that
Yes,
poem
yes.
was? How long ago is long ago when you have a people that still don't have an identity? They don't understand their roots because they were raped from their country and brought to another land. And no,
The issue is really wealth creation. That is what they're resistant to,
yes,
because this might create some wealth or some basis of wealth for us to pass on to future generations. And this is
yes,
really why we can't drop this fight. It's not about getting a
no,
check. Some of us don't even have the mentality to handle a check right now, because we would have
not
turn
true.
around tomorrow and take it, buy back everything from Europe, them clothes, them car, them what's it, and
Thank you.
they would have had a spending boom, right?
And it would
Um,
benefit them.
it is about creating wealth for future generations. So it's not only going to be cash. I mean, even simple things like the right of black people to travel
Mhm.
around the world.
Yes,
Unless you're a black American or a black person with a European passport, unless you're one of those two, you have a problem moving around the world.
you
Just
have a
simply
problem.
moving
It,
around the world. You
it,
got to pay people to
thank
be
you.
able to land in their country. What kind of fraud is that?
Listen to me.
Understand, one of the things Marcus Garvey spoke about when it comes to reparation was one, education, free education forever. That's
Hmm.
how we put it. Free education for us and our posterity forever.
Yes,
No argument about that. 300 years of chattel slavery deserve. Don't ask me about paying for my education. You're going to give it to me. Right?
yes. You see,
Secondly,
as you rightly brought up, it is prevent their attitude is to prevent us from creating a legacy for our ancestors and our ascendants to come.
That's what they're afraid of.
It is that they don't want to break us to break the cycle of poverty over our generations.
That's what it is. I mean, when they were trafficking sugar and trafficking humans, they made it legal and they made so much money that they set
Mhm.
off the Industrial Revolution, right? Couple decades ago when Jamaicans was trying to move bales of ganja. Now everybody talking about ganja industry, but when we was doing it and trying to create wealth for ourselves, them take how much man and lock them up a prison for how much
Thank you.
decades and put them back on plantation because those prisons you have to work and
Yes.
produce for them. So that's another way that they have put you back in slavery. I mean, the way they set up the system. So I just want Jamaicans and black people in general on a whole around the world to understand the simple nature of this thing.
Yes,
It's a
it is.
crime, a double and a triple crime on top of it that we're exposing to them. This is
Yes.
not about how long ago it was. This is not about how broke we are right now. All of that factors into the thing. But the fact is, we caught you by your own laws and by your own statutes in a crime that you committed. Then you lied to us,
Yes.
extorted us, committing another crime and forcing
Mhm.
us to buy our ancestors out, right? And we're
Yes.
exposing you right now to the world. And if you
Yes.
cannot stand up by your own laws, then your system has to come down. Remember when the League of Nations was founded in Europe in 1918? It was
Hmm.
after World War One. What was the
Yes.
job of the League of Nations? To prevent another world war from ever
Work.
happening. So
Hmm.
when World War Two happened, the League of Nations had to declare itself null and void. This is
Yes.
how we got the United Nations. They had to create themselves anew. So what I'm saying to them, by United Nations standards, if they fail to uphold their own laws when it comes to reparations that black people are entitled
Yes.
to, then them have to go take away themselves, like the
Take for
League of
themselves.
Nations did.
Simple. You see, when I look in, as you talk about the Windrush, after they use our families to pay for their compensation, then now the Windrush families no longer have a status in Europe. They
Imagine.
they now want them to go back home. The children that were born in their nation now have no homeland anymore. So it's as if they rape them twice.
After they tax them to pay back the
Mm,
money they paid to the rapists and
yes.
murderers of these people's ancestors,
Mm-hmm.
after you make me work to pay the rapist and
Yes.
pay the murderer who raped and murdered my ancestors, then you want to kick me out of the country. That's
Thank you.
what I'm saying. It's a double, triple,
Oh,
quadruple
yes.
crime
They're
on
doing
top
it
of crime
over
on
and
top of
over.
crime.
And then they want us to heal by just shutting up our mouth and don't talking about the
They, they,
pain.
they don't want us to heal, Asha.
And
They
also
do
we
not want
heal.
us to heal.
That is
Right?
it. Because if you shut your mouth, you
Right?
don't get to dress the wound and see it heal properly. You can't just use plaster cover up dirty wound, It go fester.
Right now, when people experience a trauma, they talk about, time for counseling and
Mm,
healing. None
yes.
of that was given to our ancestors. And the
No.
crime that was committed, like the atrocities against our ancestors, which is considered the greatest crime ever carried out against
Mhm.
humanity,
Any human. Yes.
it was 30 to 40 times as long as the Jewish Holocaust. The Jewish Holocaust took
Thank
place in
you.
under a decade, 8 or
Yes.
9 years in totality. The
And
African
for
Holocaust took
300
place for
years.
300 years. And today, the Jews are still collecting reparations from the German state. Now,
Thank
we
you.
know the states that were involved in chattel slavery because, again, Jamaicans must understand the issue is not slavery. Slavery is a part of civilizations and has been a part of almost every culture.
True.
They had
True.
slavery in Africa up to the 2000s in Mauritania.
We
Haile
still have it
Selassie
in some
abolished
areas.
slavery in Ethiopia in the 1920s, but the slavery that Africans understood was not chattel slavery. It was a whole different system. So this is not
Yes.
just about slavery. This is about chattel slavery, the dehumanizing
Mm-hmm.
of the people, the taking in mass. I mean, at least 15 million were taken out of Africa, and a
Yes.
couple a couple um decades or centuries later, it was less than 15 million here.
Yes.
Tells you one, the amount who died in the trip and the
Yeah.
amount who died when they
I
got here.
in slavery.
That's what
Our women was bred like how you bred cow and goat.
the United Nations calls it genocide. So
Yes.
here we are. They declare days to recognize these things. They declare it a crime against humanity. One UN head said we are entitled to reparations, and up till now, not one European nation is bold enough
To
to
stand
say
up.
you are right. And
Yes.
this is what we're universities are doing it, you know.
Yes.
Universities in the United States and America, they're being exposed because they've kept documents. Documents are now showing,
Mhm.
just like this whole thing about the apprenticeship and the tweet from the British Treasury. It's these little things that come out that expose the truth, that
Yes.
are forcing people to fold and say, all right, you caught me. How much more do we need to present to them for these nations to say, all right, you caught me?
Mhm. Just admit it.
Yeah,
When I
yeah,
see Biden have to be passing a law just now to say lynching is a crime.
just now.
Listen to me, just now.
Yeah,
Lynching was a crime from the first time it happened.
yeah,
And
yep.
in the US, it was not illegal to lynch a black man
They
until
weren't they weren't
until
considered human. This is
until
chattel slavery.
until this week.
Yeah,
Can you, and then you want to say reparation is not all right? It is our right. Sorry. It is our right. And as a people, we have failed ourselves. A lot of times, if we had stuck our gun, fought continually, and not allowed ourselves to be bought out in time past, maybe we'll be further along the journey now.
yes. Well, unity is important. You know, we
Yes.
gotta have umoja. We have to have some unity.
Mm-hmm.
But I
Yes.
must say this, that it is certainly has gained a lot of traction amongst the population compared to a few years ago, decades ago. Because like I said, reparation is not a new thing. Black people been
No.
talking and fighting for reparations from as
For
early as the 16th
centuries. Yes.
century. The
Yes.
King of Congo wrote to the King of Portugal about people being wrongfully taken from the Congo Empire in Africa and demanding that they be found in Brazil, where they were suspected to have been shipped off to, and
Mm-hmm.
returned. And the king had to answer. You
Yes.
understand? Equiano and Coguano, who took cases to the London court in the late 1700s, wrote books talking about reparation,
Yes.
demanding reparation, right? When they signed treaties with the Maroons in the Americas, not just Jamaica, because you had Maroons everywhere,
Yes.
they had to have some sort of reparation by granting them land or granting them certain autonomy or the right to move around. This is reparation,
That is represent.
right? Because
Yes.
they fought a war. So people must know that this is not a new thing. Marcus Garvey spoke about reparations when he demanded that Europe hand over the German colonies they seized in Africa after World War One and give them back to
Right.
black people. Before Marcus Garvey, Equiano and others helped the British establish places like Sierra Leone or Liberia, established by
Mm-hmm.
the United States in Africa, to take black people who were the descendants of the enslaved back to Africa. All of this is reparations that
Yes.
has been going. So there have been various times in the, but now is the time for us to finish it once and for all. For
Once and for all, as
our
a people.
ancestors did their part, they never let it down, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like any other case. It take a time. You understand? You gotta
Takes
press, you gotta
time.
press, you gotta press until judgment will come.
Yes, I think I think it was this week as well or late last week in the US, they finally decide who would benefit from reparation, and they decided that it was only for black people who were in America at that certain in the 1900s that would benefit. So things are happening, things are
Yeah,
becoming concretized, people are moving forward, and so we now have to hold our guns, stick to it, and continue to raise our voices until that change come. We need to do it now for our ascendants to come. This is the time.
yeah.
This is the
Absolutely
time.
right. Absolutely right.
This is the time where if Marcus Garvey had the power to turn in his grave, as people would say, he should say, at last, I see some light. for what I have fought. So let's talk a little bit about Marcus Garvey's vision for Black people. Bring it home a little bit to Jamaica and our 60th. What we are celebrating, what are we celebrating? What should we be celebrating? And what should we be planning to move for the next 60?
I think what Garvey most wanted most of all was, as he said, Africa for the Africans, those at home and those abroad. And
Mm-hmm.
even as we were just talking about reparation, another thing that people bring up is the fact that, well, Africans sold us too. And what about reparations from Africa? And that is part of the factor. And I
Yes.
think one of the ways that we can do justice to that is even in the fact that Africa themselves have recognized Africans in the diaspora and have
Yes.
recognized the diaspora as the sixth region, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yet still, we do not have voting rights at the African Union. As
Right.
CARICOM nations, we have observer status, and we are not participating in the Pan-African Parliament, where you
No.
have representatives being sent from every country of the African Union to represent at the Pan-African Parliament. I think, for example, like the Republic of South Africa has 5 seats in the Pan-African Parliament. I
Okay.
would like to see the African diaspora be given voting rights in the African Union and be able
Mhm.
to take up their seats in the Pan-African Parliament. I think it would bring a new dimension and a new level of political awareness and excitement to Jamaica. So we're not just talking
Yes.
about JLP and this parliament, but we're now electing people to sit in the African Union, Pan-African Parliament. And once we have those representatives there, we can advocate for what we want on the continent, whether it has to do with repatriation, whether it
Yes.
has to do with sharing resources and so forth. So on one hand, we have the fight against Europe to take back what they owe us, what they stole from us, what they tricked out of us. And on the other hand, we also have an inherent right, as Garvey said in the Declaration of Rights, to possess ourselves of Africa. Don't just tell
Mm-hmm.
me that we're the diaspora and you recognize us as a part of Africa, but I don't have voting rights in that
Right.
way of things. So we need to get active on that front, and we can bring the two together. You understand?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So there's more.
I think most of all, that's what Garvey would have been
Would
pressing for right now. If
right
he came
now.
and knew there was a Pan-African Parliament and he knew that Jamaica wasn't involved, Belize wasn't involved, Barbados wasn't involved, he would feel that it's not complete,
It's not
because
complete.
even the idea of a Pan-African Parliament comes from Garveyism. But that's why Garveyism spoke about the race universally, not
Yes.
continentally.
And that is what we need to look at because, remember, it's for Africans at home and abroad. That's the vision. And so, therefore, they need to get it right. We need to continue the fight, continue the push to see these things happening. Because a lot of people don't even realize that Marcus Garvey had even started a political party.
Yes. You're talking about the People's Political Party
Right.
in
He's.
Jamaica, but even before
Yes.
he came to Jamaica, when he was during his court case and he realized he needed to flex some political muscles in the United States, he formed the Universal Negro Political Union in
All
the
right.
United States, which lobbied for votes in the US elections and presidential elections. In fact, it was Garvey's influence in getting Calvin Coolidge elected to office. Why Calvin Coolidge, within his
Mhm.
first year or two in office, issued a presidential pardon in the form of commuting Garvey's sentence, even though he insisted on deportation. So a lot of
Right.
people don't know Garvey flexed a lot of political muscles. When J. Edgar Hoover tried to keep him out of the country by not giving him a visa in 1921, when he came on the Black Star Line stock selling tour to the
Mhm.
Caribbean, came to Jamaica, went to Belize, went on to Panama. Garvey called the Secretary of State. He sent a telegram or whatever they did at that time, a wire to the
Yes.
Secretary of State. And that's how he was able to re-enter New York City. Um,
Yes.
yeah, and at that time he applied for U.S. citizenship. A lot of Jamaicans don't tell this part of the story either.
A lot of Jamaicans
That
don't know.
application for U.S. citizenship is why Edgar Hoover moved so quickly to charge him for fraud, and why the
Mhm.
case was so weak and rushed and hurried and ridiculous. And Garvey, somebody else who deserves reparations for being wrongly imprisoned.
Yes, because he was wrongly imprisoned, and his name needs to be cleared because of that. And So when you look at the fight that we have before us, it is multifaceted, it is multi-pronged, and we need all of us at the table. One of the things I think though is that a lot of us still don't understand it.
Mm.
I am still learning, and I have been working at learning for a few years well. And I am still learning, still understanding the process. So you can imagine the smaller man who is not even so off. They just hear Marcus Garvey, they sing some song about him, he's a national hero, and him they do some good things, and that's all they know. And
Mhm.
that is why even the teachings and the visionary, because he was a visionary of no short order. You understand me? Because that is one of the things it needs to be taught more
Yes, yes, yes,
in
yes.
school.
We're working on a program at Liberty Hall. I don't want to say much right now, but hopefully
Right.
by the summer we'll have some big announcement. People should know I've chaired the Garvey Studies program at Heidel, one of the few schools, though it's a private school, to teach
Okay.
Garveyism as compulsory from the prep school through the high school up to
Yes.
their university college, where they train their teachers. And we teach it at those different levels, so you get some of it. And I must say, I've seen great results at the Heidel group of schools, and people wonder how Heidel came out of nowhere to become such a powerhouse in sports.
They
And people don't
are.
see the connection to Garveyism. You understand? It is because of how they're raised to see themselves. One part of teaching Garveyism is building the confidence of the
Yes.
race because of the trauma we've been through. That it takes a toll on our self-esteem in the face of the wider world. You understand? And
Yes.
Jamaicans have this naturally, we always talk about a little bit about with
With
Talabot.
Kanawa.
But even
Mhm.
armed with Garveyism, that becomes more sharpened and more potent. And we are able to achieve greater things, understanding our potential and unlocking and unleashing it.
And it is so, and it's so very important, because as a people, we have a style. When we are among other black people, we big up ourselves and we talk loud and let everybody know who we are. But there are a lot of us, as soon as a Caucasian, a white man walk into the room, we start to want to give him Bakramasa kind of
Oh
treatment.
yeah,
And
yeah,
we
yeah.
small up
White
ourselves
supremacy.
because of the white supremacy. And we need to understand our own greatness. We need to understand that we are descendants of kings and queens. We are not slaves. We were
Garvey,
enslaved.
Garveyism is black supremacy. If you go by Leonard Howell's words, that's what
Right.
Leonard Howell used to talk about.
Because
Black supremacy.
when you stop calling yourself slaves, that is the first thing. We were not
Yes,
slaves. We were never slaves. Or most
never,
of us that came from the African continent were not slaves. Maybe one or two were
never.
slaves here, but we're not slaves. We were enslaved.
Slaves refer to the Slavic people of Eastern Europe. We're
Thank
getting bomb
you.
up right now. Those were
Thank
the
you.
original slaves. That's where the word comes from. That's how it
Right.
found itself into the Latin vocabulary.
Um,
Slavs,
mhm.
slaves, right? No, we weren't that. And
No,
you
until
know,
we stop saying we are ascendants or descendants, whichever word we prefer, of
imagine, Asha.
slaves.
And every society has had slavery.
Every
Romans
style.
enslaved the British, but the British never say that they are descendants of slaves. But they were enslaved
No.
by the Romans, right? Genghis Khan and the Mongols enslaved a whole heap of people, down to the
Mhm.
Arabic, down to the Eastern Europeans. They don't talk about they're the descendants from slaves, and they were.
No, we need to change the rhetoric, this foolish
Yes,
conversation that we are descendants of slaves. I'm no descendant of no slave.
that's
Well,
right.
I have done a little research on my own genetic, and all of that. But I am not descendant of any slave.
That's right.
I'm descendant of great men and women who were enslaved. Because if you were original slaves, what you're seeking repatriation for?
Exactly.
You wouldn't deserve
If
anything because
that's
you're
your
a slave.
identity, if that's
If
your
that's your
identity,
identity, you don't deserve anything.
yeah, man. But
So
that's the
we
narrative
were
that they give
enslaved.
us. That's the narrative they taught us, and our scholars then continued to write it. But there's an
Yes,
awakening happening. But I'm glad you bring up that point, and I hope your listeners take it to heart. And they must pay attention to the leaders when they speak, because it
yes,
shows how woke they are. If them come out
yes.
talking about slaves and not
Mhm.
making that adjustment to talking about the enslaved, them
Enslaved.
no them no wake up yet.
Them no wake up yet. So we are not seeking reparation because we were slaves. We're seeking it because we were enslaved. were taken against our will. We were raped from our nation, pick up, scoop out, brought to another nation. And then with Columbus talking about him discover people and all of them nations and discover islands and all of these things. And the first man to cross. And we know so nothing no go so. But guess what? Most of our people don't know.
Incidentally, you mentioned Christopher Columbus. And I want people to take note that this year, 2022, will mark the 500th anniversary. 500 years since the first recorded uprising of enslaved Africans in the Americas. And it took place in 1522 on the plantation of the great grandson, I believe. Not the grandson, the great grandson of Christopher Columbus, whose name was Diego Colon. At a plantation. Now, this was part of the Columbus legacy that he left here, inherited by his sons and passed to his grandsons and great grandsons. And the first time a major slave uprising occurred, it was on that plantation in what is now the Dominican Republic in 1522, in December. So this year, December, will make 500 years since they have been recording the war that our ancestors fought against slavery. But yet they don't teach it to us that way, that we fought a war.
No.
They teach it to us like our identity was slave, as you say. And we just went through this period, and then they realized some humanity and gave us emancipation.
And make us humans.
They clap themselves for abolishing slavery. All of that is lies.
And we were no longer shadows, but we suddenly turned humans.
We've been bamboozled. We've been led astray with that narrative. We need to dash with that.
Yes, we know, because when people, that is why even in our language now, when people say you're treating the person like a human being, I hate that narrative. I don't use it. When you say you're treating the person like a human, I want to know what the person is then. Even we talk about ourselves, we're treating the person like a human being. The person is a human being, you're treating them as they deserve to be treated.
Exactly.
So even our understanding of who we are influences our speech.
Yes. And his words sound power.
Yes. It influences our understanding. It shows our understanding of who we are. And as a people, I'm calling upon us, everyone, every Black person across the world that is hearing our voices this evening, change the language and break the power of evil over our lives. Change the language. We were never slaves. We were enslaved, and we want to be recompensated. Using it a normal, ordinary word. Compensate us for the amount of time you enslaved us, and then force us to pay for the privilege of being slaves.
Yeah.
That's what we did when we pay back Backramas and his ascendants and descendants. We were paying for the privilege of being enslaved. Or for like Jamaica and the other Caribbean islands, the Windrush people, they went and finished the payment. And now they become a people without a country after they're born and grow in their country. Because even though we accept them back home, because Jamaica is always their home, generally speaking, they were not born on the continent. But anywhere you're born, you're Jamaican. For you're Jamaican. However, what Europe, what they are doing to our people now is saying to our children that were born in their country that there are people without a nation. You're sending them back home. Back home where? Where were they born? What did they contribute to your country that suddenly now, because they pay off Backramasa's debt, they no longer have a home? We have to look at the narrative behind the narrative when we are creating the conversation for our repatriation funding. We need it. We need reparation. We need it to be properly written, properly worded. I'm calling to our people, stop talking about, we needed to fund our education because, no. Reparation is simply because a wrong was done against our people. And then now when we get that, we use it to benefit our people.
Yes.
But we are not coming as beggars. We are coming asking for what we deserve. We're not
Yes.
begging you anything. But as
It's not
we
it's
are,
not it's not it's not begging when you find the man that robbed from you
thank
and you're
you.
coming to him and you say, yo, give me back my thing. And lucky, that's how we're coming.
Yes.
He's
Because
lucky. Because
if
there's a
you,
different way we could have come.
and it would not be pretty,
There could be skies falling out of planes and crashing into buildings. The world is not stranger to these things. Don't push
not
up
at
people
all.
who have been pressing you again about an issue, you know. And I know that's a controversial thing to say.
Very controversial, but
Reality.
it is reality. It is reality that it could be different. But we are coming in peace. If a man come on your property and steal your goods, and you find the man who steal your things and you go to court, when you go to court, you're not begging the man to give you back your things.
Exactly.
You are asking for justice to be done
For justice to be done.
in
Well
repayment.
said.
And you see, a lot of us, sometimes we don't like the Bible. But I tell people, if you use the Bible wisely, you can find the right things in there. The Bible even have a structure on how people supposed to repay you when they steal from you and take your things. It
Yes.
is there.
Yes.
There's a
Yes.
structure right there in the Bible of how you pay and how you charge a man, whether he did it out of malicious for his own benefit
Yes.
or if he was just simply hungry.
Remember, Moses was the lawgiver, you know, because Moses was the one that we raised and
Yes,
taught in Egypt. We
yes.
taught him law, we taught him civilization,
Mhm.
and he taught the nation that became known as Israel.
Yes.
So where did he learn those things? He learned
Right.
from Africans. So
And
Africans
guess
have
what?
always had a sense of law, of order, and of
Yes.
justice, and what is
Yes.
right and what is fair. And we
Hmm.
are a people who we have a long memory and our patience is very long. And it's the only reason why we are the only race on this planet that could have survived
Yes. The superior race. And
Holocaust.
when I call black the superior race, I am not talking with water in my mouth. I'm gonna put it to you, Stephen. If you're Chinese and you sleep with a black man, so if a Chinese woman sleep with you and you get her pregnant, she don't have a Chinese baby. She have
Listen,
a black baby.
if you're a student of art, right, you know, once you pour black into any color,
Yes.
all right, what you're going to get? You're going to get a darker color. You're going
Listen
to
to
get
me.
black color. All right.
Across the world, use US as our closest neighbor. If you are 99% white and you're 1% blood, find black blood in your vein, they say you're no longer white. Why couldn't it be if they were the superior race? When a white man sleep with a black woman and she have a baby, because the man white, the baby should have white. But the baby takes on the ancestry of the mother because
Yes.
she black.
And people have to know that DNA carries memory, you know. It
Oh
carries the
yes.
memory of the ancestors. This is something Marcus
Mm-hmm.
Garvey spoke about too, as early as the 1920s, when he said, what is hidden within
Mm-hmm.
us that can only be resurrected through our descendants or through our generations and our posterity. The
Yes.
only thing that you can hide that your future descendants can resurrect, the
Mm-hmm.
only thing is DNA. That's what he was
Only
talking
thing.
about.
Only
Because
thing.
DNA carries the information of your
Cannot be washed
ancestors.
out.
So it's in there. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if you're talking race superiority, I mean, just turn on the TV when it's Olympics or World Cup and look how
Yes.
much black people have to be representing the entire world. But
World.
yet it not come from them. You have black man I run for Germany, black man I run for
Mm-hmm.
France, black man I run for
Every
England,
country
black
wants a
man I
black
run
man
for
for them
Netherlands.
team.
You understand?
Yes.
And that's how it goes.
Our black
So
men and our black women are the ones who are making nations great in sports.
yes, and hold all the records.
Yes.
And that is the
We
measure they
are.
use to
Yes.
show physical superiority.
It's
That's the
in
measure
our
they use, you know.
DNA.
For them games. We just
Yes.
dominate them.
Yeah, thank you. And guess what? They have to come and beg our people to represent them that they can look great.
Ah,
Because why?
it's
We
sad
are
with
great.
It's sad we don't have that African empire. You know, one of the Declaration of Rights Garvey declared is that you can't go fight for alien nations. You understand? Without
This is the
permission. If you're
right.
an African, you must come represent Africa. So
Mhm.
imagine if we brought home all our athletes. What would the international stage look like? Right?
Wow.
It wouldn't even be competition. They would even have competition anymore. Cause it not make sense.
It
Let's just
wouldn't
go
make
watch
any
them
sense.
compete against each other in Africa. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's the same thing when the 54th Declaration or the 53rd Declaration of Rights of the Negro People says August 31st is supposed to be an international holiday for the race.
Yes.
Imagine if we were serious about that and on that day alone, black people the world over don't go to work. You know,
This is
like any
the
other Jewish holiday, you know, when they have Jewish holidays in New
Jews
York, shut
everywhere
down,
stop work.
right? Imagine black people everywhere stop work one day and
The
the world
world
begin
would
to
stand
see.
still. The world would
You
stand
understand?
still.
Yeah, and this is how our first national hero thought. And this is why he came up with these things. It was all about demonstrating our collective power as a race. And we need to get back to that. We get a little divided with the riches and money that they offer a few of us and the fame and the fortune. And then we forget about the rest of the race. But we have to remain in this collectively dedicated and determined.
Some, Stephen, we have our listeners. They are so glued to listening. They are. A few have been asking when we're going to start teaching it in Marcus Garvey in schools. So they are listening, and I just got a message. This need part two because they are looking at the time and they are realizing that we're coming to an end now. In
Yes,
the next
yes, and I
four or
have to
five
run, and
minutes.
I have to run. I couldn't get this StreamYard working on my phone. Otherwise, I would run with you, but I do
But
have
I
to run.
do. So we are really we have come down to a close now, and so we want to thank you for sitting down with us. You have been sitting down with me on so many different platforms in recent times, and
Always a pleasure.
for this I am grateful. So give us your last word before you run.
Just for people to understand that the very reason we exist is to complete this fight our ancestors started. You know, last Friday, March 25th, was the International Day of Remembrance for the victims of the transatlantic slave trade. Those
Yes,
were the ones who didn't make it. Those were the ones who died while it was going on. But we are the descendants of the ones who did make it. So
yes,
all the sacrifice that their brothers and sisters paid, and the fact that they held on so that we
yes.
could have life generations later, it demonstrates an obligation we have to finishing what they started. And they fought. They fought on the
Yes,
continent. They fought on the ships. They fought in the ports. They fought on the plantations. They fought in the mountains. They fought in the hills. They fought in the valleys. We fought in the halls of the British Parliament. We
yes,
fought in the great houses, right? We fought on the pirate ships that some of us ended us up on because not all of us
yes.
made it to the plantations. We
Mm-hmm.
have been conducting a war against this travesty that was perpetrated against our people for over 400 years. And this generation cannot be the one to say, "Oh, Chud, that was in the past. We don't know
Mm-mm.
nothing about that." Don't sound
No.
like the people in Trenchtown talking about my granny never tell me nothing about the prince and the queen, and me and a slave. Understand that you are the descendants of those who were
Were
enslaved and
enslaved.
those who
Yes.
fought against enslavement. You
And
are
their
the
blood
descendants
are
of
still in our
those
veins.
who said liberty or death. And
Mm-hmm.
now we are at the stage where reparations is the final
Yes.
battlefront. Don't lag
Time for
behind.
reparation.
Don't cower off of the battlefield. Go boldly forward as your ancestors did in the bellies of the ships and on the mountain tops in the West Indies.
Amen. Steve, and I like that part. I always say I don't walk off a dance floor. I dance off the dance floor. We shall not walk off the plantation fighting. We don't fight. We are fighting until reparation is done. We are fighting until the end. Thank you for sitting down with me this evening, Stephen. And I'm saying to our people, in the words of Marcus Garvey, with confidence, you have won before you have started. And we are confident that we are right in this fight. Thank you, Walk Good, and May we sit again at some future date as we continue the conversation. Blessings, my
Thanks for
friend.
having me, Asha. And there's a UNIA chapter at the Sam Sharp Teachers College. I very much want to link you up with and bring them in
Please.
to help support the show. And I know you're on that side, but you're an active and faithful member, and we want you to be a good influence
Yes.
um, on those young ones out there. So thanks again for having me. Wonderful
All right.
program. Big up to your listeners, and I'm here anytime.
Blessings, my brother. So that is it for us from Healing Moments this evening on Fit FM 96.7, Your Life, Your Music. I am your host, Dr. Asha Muwenda, thanking you for sitting down with me this evening. Stay blessed until next week when we have another awesome program lined up for you. Good evening. Walk good.
Oh yeah, yeah. Ooh, yeah. Young, gifted, and black. Oh, what a lovely, precious dream. To be young, gifted, and black. Open your heart to what I mean. In the whole world, you know, there are a billion boys and girls who are young.